Hello, this is Chuck from Private Family Banking, and here with another story of the day. This is the story of the Cactus Corral. Cactus Corral. Sounds kind of Texas-y, I think. So my daughter and I, we were out for a drive doing a calf delivery of some cattle we sold. And my daughter, she runs a flower farm here in South Texas. And though we have mild winters, her greenhouse ideas would allow her to grow flowers during the winter, do some starts and do more business. So we have always had our eye out for some greenhouses, and she did some pricing, and like all small businesses, she's really concerned about the effective use of her cash and her capital. It's really critical. So after doing some research on the size and the cost of a greenhouse system, my daughter Catherine quickly hunted for a used system, and one she could put a little bit of sweat equity in and could serve her purposes and get started at a much lower cost. Well, today, while we were out driving around delivering these heifer calves, we saw some of these greenhouses being disassembled. It struck our curiosity, and so after somewhat of an ordeal unloading cattle, well, we got them off anyway. It was all good. A little bit of a difficult gate entrance problem with backing up the trailer and getting access, but we got them in there. Well, we started talking on the way back about stopping and seeing if there was anyone at this property where we saw these dismantled greenhouses in progress. Sure enough, there was. There was a lady there. And she said, oh yeah, the guy wants to sell them. Here's his number. She said, oh, by the way, if you look at that sign over there, get the number off of that because that guy wants to sell his too. We quickly found out there was somewhere around 100 or more greenhouses on these properties, maybe 150. About 10 years ago, they went out of business. It was a place called the Cactus Corral, and they sold cactuses all over the country that they raised there in these greenhouses. She pointed to that sign. We drove over there, and lo and behold, there was a guy there in a pickup truck just entering the gate area, so we flagged him down. And we asked about the greenhouses for sale. He said, oh, yeah, they're for sale, but I'm not the seller. I'm just leasing the land here. He said, you got to call that number. I said, oh, yeah, we heard about that. So we said, hey, by the way, you know the history of this place known as, we heard as Cactus Corral? He said, oh yeah, Cactus Corral. He said that it was one time an operation that was booming, growing cacti of many different types and shipping them as wholesalers and resellers to wholesalers and resellers around the country. He said the sad thing was at the peak of the business growth, the owner died, and his widow, without a succession plan in place, wound up letting the whole thing go, literally die off. And so it was a hard lesson. It hit us really hard on how important it is for a closely held small business to have a succession plan, especially when you've got thousands and perhaps millions of dollars invested in inventory and growing houses, in the case of the Cactus Corral. This includes not only an operational plan, but also having some life insurance in place to cover the cost of replacing a key individual or leader in the organization, as the business would be the beneficiary of that and be able to help offset the temporary loss of that talent and time, and who knows what all knowledge with that individual. So in a family business, a small business, you need to have a succession plan as a lesson learned here, and life insurance in place to cover that family member or business leader, offset the cost of the loss of their talent and skill and time, and get the business to stay on track to be well-funded even in times of change and generational changeover. So this story shows us viscerally and visually how devastating a no-legacy plan methodology can be for a small family. And in this business, it meant the entire business went. And if you look at it today, it's just kind of a devastating sight. It hits home. If it hits home to you, get a hold of me, Chuck, at privatefamilybanking.com, and we'll help you address the risks, costs, and pain of losing a key person in your family or business, and how to prepare for that in times of change and loss, and not have your business go completely under. So it's really a story of the Cactus Corral, reminding us how critical this can be. Thanks for your time. Again, Chuck at privatefamilybanking.com, Chuck at privatefamilybanking.com.